The internet just froze, because according to explosive new reports, Drake has allegedly filed a brand new 60-page lawsuit, and it's centered around one thing the culture can't stop talking about: Not Like Us. The track that shook hip-hop flipped the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar war on its head and turned the entire internet into a courtroom overnight. But here's the twist. This move may have just put Drake in the most dangerous position of his career. For months, Not Like Us hasn't just lived on streaming platforms. It's been played in arenas, blasted at parties, chanted by crowds, and dissected line by line online. The song crossed a line from diss record into cultural moment. And that's exactly where the alleged legal trouble begins. Because once a record stops being rap beef and starts influencing public perception, reputations, and business, lawyers get involved fast. What's shocking isn't just the length of the lawsuit. It's what Drake is reportedly trying to argue. This isn't about hurt feelings or lyrical competition. This is about defamation claims, reputational damage, financial loss, and long-term brand harm tied to how the song has been used, interpreted, and amplified. And that's where things get messy. Because hip-hop is built on exaggeration, metaphor, and bravado, but the legal system doesn't care about culture. It cares about wording, impact, and provable harm. The real problem? By filing something this extensive, Drake may have opened the door to discovery. That means lyrics, messages, background context, and industry relationships could suddenly become fair game. And in a battle where the internet already believes Kendrick won, going legal can look less like strength and more like desperation, even if that's not the intent. Fans are already divided. Some say Drake is protecting his legacy and business, doing what any mogul would do when lines blur into real-world consequences. Others say this move confirms Kendrick hit a nerve so deep that music alone wasn't enough to respond. Either way, perception matters, and right now, perception is brutal. Because in hip-hop, once the narrative flips from battle to lawsuit, the rules change. The question isn't who rapped better anymore, it's who has more to lose. And if this lawsuit backfires, Drake won't just be fighting Kendrick. He'll be fighting public opinion, industry politics, and a legal process that doesn't care about platinum plaques. And that's why this move could be the most risky decision Drake has made in years. To understand why this alleged 60-page lawsuit matters so much, you have to rewind to how Not Like Us stopped being just a diss record and turned into a cultural event. This wasn't a song that lived quietly on streaming platforms. It became a chant, a meme, a statement. It crossed from hip-hop beef into mainstream conversation. And once that happened, the stakes changed completely. In rap history, diss tracks are expected to be disrespectful, exaggerated, even outrageous. Artists insult credibility, question authenticity, and mock character. That's the game. But what made Not Like Us different was the way the public received it. The song wasn't just consumed, it was activated. Fans didn't just listen. They repeated it, remixed it, and used it as commentary. Suddenly, lyrics weren't staying within the usual rap rules. They were being interpreted as factual claims by people outside hip-hop culture. That distinction matters legally. In music, context is everything. Courts often recognize rap lyrics as artistic expression, not literal statements. But when a song is widely used to imply real-world behavior, especially in non-musical settings, it can cross into murky territory. That's where this alleged lawsuit reportedly starts drawing lines, arguing that the song's reach and interpretation caused reputational and financial harm beyond normal rap competition. Another critical factor is Drake's position in the industry. He isn't just an artist anymore. He's a brand, a business entity, a global partner for corporations, sports franchises, and platforms. When someone at that level believes a narrative is impacting endorsements, partnerships, or long-term value, the response isn't always lyrical, it's legal. That doesn't mean the claim is valid, but it explains why legal action would even be considered. The reported length of the lawsuit, 60 pages, is what raised eyebrows across the industry. That suggests this isn't a simple complaint. It implies extensive documentation, timelines, examples, social media amplification, public reactions, and possibly expert analysis on reputational damage. In other words, this wouldn't be about one song. It would be about how that song moved through culture and what followed. This is where things get complicated. Filing something that detailed can force uncomfortable conversations into the open. Legal discovery, if it proceeds, doesn't just look at the opposing side. It can pull in background context, communications, and internal discussions that were never meant for public view. Even if Drake believes he's in the right, the process itself can become a risk. From a hip-hop perspective, lawsuits have always been controversial. Fans often see them as a violation of the unspoken rules of rap battles. The culture values response through music, not courts. That perception doesn't determine legality, but it absolutely shapes public opinion. And public opinion matters more than ever in the age of social media. At the same time, there's a counter-argument gaining traction. Some fans and industry voices say the culture has changed, whether people like it or not. When diss records start influencing public belief in ways that affect real livelihoods, the old rules may no longer apply. Hip-hop doesn't exist in a vacuum anymore. It exists in boardrooms, sponsorship deals, and global markets. Another key issue is timing. Not Like Us didn't fade quickly. It stayed alive through performances, viral clips, and crowd reactions. Every replay reinforced the narrative. From a legal standpoint, that ongoing presence could be framed as continued harm, not a one-time event. That's important if someone is trying to argue damages. Still, none of this guarantees success in court. Proving defamation or reputational harm is notoriously difficult, especially when the source material is art. The defense would likely argue satire, exaggeration, cultural context, and artistic freedom. And historically, courts have been cautious about punishing creative expression. But the real battle may not even be legal, it may be perceptual. Once an artist is seen as taking a beef to court, the conversation shifts. The focus moves away from bars and toward motives. Is this about protection or pressure? About principle or panic? Those questions start to overshadow the music itself. As part one closes, one thing is clear. This situation isn't just about Drake versus Kendrick anymore. It's about where hip-hop draws the line between art and allegation in a world where everything goes viral. Whether this alleged lawsuit moves forward or not, the fact that it's being discussed at this level shows how much the culture and the consequences have changed. As the conversation around Drake's alleged 60-page lawsuit deepens, the focus is shifting from why he would file it to what it could actually do. Because in legal battles tied to culture, winning in court doesn't always mean winning in the public eye. And right now, that's where things start getting dangerous. One of the biggest risks Drake faces isn't Kendrick Lamar, it's discovery. If this lawsuit truly moves forward, both sides could be required to hand over materials that were never meant to see daylight. Emails, messages, internal discussions, business concerns, even conversations about strategy. In a normal corporate dispute, that's expected. In a hip-hop feud that already lives under a microscope, it's explosive. This is where fans begin to worry that Drake may have underestimated the consequences. Not Like Us didn't just accuse, it implied. And in court, implication becomes interpretation. Lawyers don't argue vibes. They argue wording, intent, and impact. If Drake's legal team is claiming reputational damage, they may have to prove how the song affected specific deals, partnerships, or public perception. That requires evidence, and evidence opens doors. On the flip side, Kendrick's side, if pulled into formal proceedings, would likely argue that diss records are a long-standing tradition rooted in exaggeration and metaphor. They point to decades of hip-hop precedent where artists say outrageous things without legal consequence. They'd argue that audiences understand this language as performance, not fact. And historically, courts have often leaned in that direction. But here's the wrinkle. The internet doesn't consume music the way it used to. Lyrics don't stay in songs anymore. They get pulled out, isolated, turned into captions, chants, and slogans. Once that happens, the original artistic context starts to dissolve. That's where Drake's argument reportedly tries to land, that the song escaped its intended medium and became a vehicle for damaging narratives far beyond rap culture. Still, even if that argument holds some weight legally, the optics are brutal. Hip-hop has always celebrated confrontation through creativity, not paperwork. When artists take disputes to court, fans often interpret it as surrender, regardless of legal merit. Fair or not, that perception sticks, and Drake is hyper-aware of that. There's also the issue of precedent. If a superstar like Drake successfully argues that a diss track caused real-world harm, it could open the floodgates. Suddenly, every high-profile rap beef becomes a potential lawsuit. That scares labels, platforms, and artists alike. No one wants a future where lyrical battles are filtered through legal departments before release. Industry insiders are reportedly split. Some quietly support Drake's move, seeing it as a necessary boundary in an era where misinformation spreads unchecked. Others believe it's a dangerous overcorrection that could weaken hip-hop's core identity. That internal divide matters, because support, or lack of it, can influence how aggressively a case is pursued or settled. Another major concern is timing. Kendrick has largely let the music speak. He hasn't needed to explain, defend, or escalate. By contrast, legal action keeps the story alive. Every filing, every rumor, every update becomes another headline. Instead of letting the moment fade, the lawsuit risks extending it indefinitely. And then there's the fanbase factor. Drake's audience is massive and diverse, but not all of it lives in hip-hop culture. Some fans may welcome legal clarity. Others may feel alienated, seeing the move as out of character. Meanwhile, Kendrick supporters are framing the lawsuit as confirmation that the diss hit exactly where it was meant to. The danger here isn't losing the case, it's losing control of the narrative. Once courts get involved, the story no longer belongs to the artists. It belongs to lawyers, judges, and public filings. And in that space, nuance disappears. Everything becomes simplified, clipped, and weaponized online. What makes this moment especially tense is that Drake has always been known for calculated moves. He rarely acts without considering long-term consequences. That's why fans are debating whether this lawsuit is a final escalation or a strategic reset. Is this about stopping the spread of a narrative, or drawing a line that says, this goes too far? As Part 2 ends, the situation feels less like a rap feud and more like a stress test for modern hip-hop itself. Can the culture survive when battles leave the booth and enter the courtroom? Or does this moment mark a shift where business, branding, and legality permanently outweigh lyrical warfare? Because if Drake pushes forward, he's not just challenging Kendrick, he's challenging the unwritten rules of the genre. And once those rules are questioned, there's no going back. By the time Part 3 rolls around, the tension surrounding Drake's alleged 60-page lawsuit over Not Like Us has shifted from speculation to serious industry-wide concern. What seemed like a personal move in a long-running hip-hop narrative now has the potential to ripple far beyond Drake and Kendrick, threatening the very way rap beefs are handled in the digital age. This isn't just about music anymore. It's about precedent, perception, and power. One major factor intensifying the situation is public interpretation. In the era of viral clips and instant social media commentary, lyrics rarely stay confined to the song they were written for. Not Like Us has been dissected in forums, highlighted in reaction videos, and even used as a talking point by mainstream media outlets. The track's phrasing, tone, and implied statements are being debated as if they are factual testimony. That's the exact scenario Drake's legal team reportedly hopes to address, that the song, stripped of its artistic context, has allegedly caused real-world harm. But the challenge here is enormous, because intent and interpretation are always subjective, and courts are notoriously skeptical when art is involved. Discovery looms large in this scenario. If the lawsuit moves forward, lawyers from both sides could demand access to everything from private communications to studio sessions. Anything remotely related to the creation, release, and promotion of the song could be scrutinized. That includes messages between Drake and his team, emails discussing the track, or even prior correspondences with collaborators. Even casual discussions could be taken out of context and misinterpreted in court, which is exactly why insiders are cautioning that legal battles like this can be as much about exposure as they are about the original claim. Another complication comes from the industry's reaction. Executives, managers, and fellow artists are reportedly divided. Some see this move as Drake setting boundaries, a warning that music, influence, and reach come with responsibility. Others are concerned it sets a dangerous precedent, blurring the line between artistic expression and litigation in a genre that thrives on lyrical bravado. If one high-profile lawsuit succeeds, it could invite a flood of similar claims, fundamentally altering the way hip-hop is written, produced, and promoted. That's why insiders are watching the filings carefully. The outcome isn't just about Drake or Kendrick. It's about the culture's evolution. Timing also plays a crucial role. Not Like Us isn't a forgotten track. It has maintained relevance through live performances, viral social media moments, and endless fan debates. Each time the song resurfaces, the potential impact grows, reinforcing Drake's reported claim that the track has caused ongoing reputational and financial harm. In other words, the longer the issue remains public, the more evidence might be argued in court, but also the more scrutiny Drake himself faces. From a fan perspective, the stakes feel even higher. Drake has cultivated a massive following, but fans are divided. Some support him fully, believing that defending one's brand and reputation is a necessity in today's culture-driven business environment. Others feel that taking music to court is almost sacrilegious, a betrayal of hip-hop's unwritten code that conflict should be handled through artistry, not legal documents. That split fuels online debate, meme culture, and speculation, turning what might have been a closed legal matter into a public spectacle. Meanwhile, Kendrick's camp is likely strategizing carefully. They know that the public perception of Not Like Us is already framed as a critical cultural moment. Engaging legally could escalate the issue, but ignoring it entirely could also be risky if the court takes the claim seriously. That delicate balance between legal prudence and cultural optics is one of the central challenges in this scenario. And then there's the overarching question of risk versus reward. Filing a 60-page lawsuit may signal seriousness and determination, but it also exposes Drake to counter-arguments, potential negative press, and scrutiny of his own communications. In hip-hop, perception is everything. Winning legally is only one battle. Winning culturally is entirely different. As Part 3 concludes, the story feels like it's at a tipping point. What started as a diss track has grown into a debate about boundaries, legal strategy, and the influence of art in the age of instant media. Every action from here on out, every filing, every statement, every leak, has the potential to reshape not just Drake's career, but the way the industry treats lyrical conflict in the digital era. Drake isn't just responding to Kendrick. He's navigating a minefield where the rules are constantly changing. And in that environment, one misstep could have repercussions far beyond a single track, turning a music feud into a cautionary tale for the entire hip-hop world. As the Drake versus Kendrick saga takes a legal turn, the stakes surrounding the alleged 60-page lawsuit continue to escalate. Part 4 dives deeper into the implications, not just for the two artists involved, but for the industry, fans, and the way hip-hop interacts with law in the digital age. One of the most immediate concerns is public perception. For decades, rap battles have operated on unspoken rules. Artists respond with lyrics, bars, and performances, not court filings. Fans celebrate wit, wordplay, and the ability to clap back through music. Legal action, however, introduces a different dynamic. It's no longer just about who delivered the cleverest punchline. It's about strategy, credibility, and optics. Many fans see lawsuits as antithetical to hip-hop culture, and that perception alone carries weight. In this case, Drake's alleged move risks alienating parts of his audience who view legal action as a retreat from artistry. Meanwhile, the discovery process poses its own challenges. Courts can compel the release of documents, messages, and evidence that were never meant for public view. For an artist of Drake's caliber, that could include private communications with producers, collaborators, and label executives. These materials may reveal business strategies, creative decisions, or even casual commentary that could be misconstrued. While such evidence could strengthen the case, it also opens Drake up to scrutiny and potential reputational damage, especially in a world where every detail leaks online almost instantly. The alleged lawsuit also underscores the changing landscape of hip-hop. In the past, diss tracks and public feuds lived mainly in music, videos, and interviews. Today, every moment is amplified by social media, reaction videos, and meme culture. Lyrics are consumed in isolation, taken literally, and sometimes misinterpreted. The internet has effectively removed the buffer between art and real-life perception. Drake's legal team reportedly views this as a serious problem. Once words leave the song and enter broader culture, the consequences can extend far beyond the music itself. Another layer of complexity comes from the industry's perspective. Executives, promoters, and partners are closely watching. If a major artist can claim damages from a diss track, it sets a precedent that could reshape how labels handle beefs, releases, and promotions. On one hand, it could protect artists from harmful misinterpretation. On the other, it could stifle creativity, making artists wary of expressing themselves fully. The ripple effect would extend to everyone in the ecosystem, from managers to marketing teams. Timing has also amplified the tension. Not Like Us didn't quietly fade after its release. It gained momentum through streaming, live performances, and viral online moments. Each replay, clip, or discussion potentially strengthens Drake's claim that the track caused ongoing reputational and financial harm. Yet, that same exposure increases the pressure on Drake. With the public closely analyzing every move, any misstep in legal or PR strategy could magnify criticism and fan backlash. Fans remain divided. Some argue Drake is taking a necessary step to protect his brand, asserting that in today's landscape, art has real-world consequences that must be acknowledged. Others see the move as a miscalculation, framing it as evidence that Kendrick hit a nerve so deep that music alone wasn't enough to respond. The narrative isn't just about lyrics anymore. It's about strategy, influence, and cultural clout. Kendrick's camp, for its part, has reportedly remained largely silent, relying on the public's interpretation of Not Like Us and avoiding legal entanglement. Silence, in this scenario, can be strategic. By not responding, Kendrick allows Drake to expend energy while keeping the focus on his artistry. However, the tension is palpable. Any public move from Kendrick could escalate the situation, while inaction risks letting Drake control the narrative. The broader question for hip-hop is clear. How far can legal action intersect with artistic expression before it changes the culture? This case could become a watershed moment, influencing how beefs, diss tracks, and lyrical content are treated in the age of virality. If Drake's move succeeds, it could embolden other artists to pursue legal recourse when they feel misrepresented. If it fails, it may reinforce the idea that lyrics, no matter how provocative, remain protected as artistic expression. As Part 4 closes, the tension remains high. The lawsuit isn't just a legal maneuver, it's a cultural flashpoint. Every filing, every leaked snippet, and every social media reaction contributes to a narrative that could redefine hip-hop's boundaries. Drake isn't merely fighting Kendrick in court. He's navigating a landscape where artistry, brand, and public perception collide. The outcome of this situation could ripple across the industry for years, signaling that in the digital era, words on a track may carry more than just musical weight. They may carry real-world consequences. The world is watching, fans are debating, and the next chapter is unpredictable. One thing is certain, this isn't just a beef anymore, it's a cultural event, and the stakes have never been higher. As the alleged 60-page lawsuit surrounding Drake and Not Like Us reaches its fifth chapter, the narrative has expanded far beyond a simple rap feud. By now, it's clear that this isn't just about bars or beef, it's about reputation, legacy, and the evolving relationship between art and accountability. Every development has fans, industry insiders, and cultural commentators watching closely, trying to predict what happens next. One of the most critical aspects of this phase is the potential fallout from discovery. Legal proceedings often require both parties to submit evidence that can include emails, text messages, business communications, and sometimes even unreleased creative material. For Drake, whose brand spans music, fashion, endorsements, and partnerships. This means everything from studio notes to private messages could be scrutinized. Even casual comments could be misinterpreted by the court, fans, or the media. The very act of filing the lawsuit exposes him to questions, analysis, and leaks that could affect public perception. The cultural implications are equally significant. Hip-hop has long relied on its unspoken rules. Disputes are settled with lyrics, with clever wordplay and performances being the ultimate judge. Taking a diss track to court challenges that tradition. It introduces the idea that artistic expression could have real-world legal consequences, fundamentally altering how future artists approach their craft. If the lawsuit succeeds, it could reshape how diss records are written, produced, and consumed, forcing rappers to weigh potential legal risk alongside creative freedom. Fans are also playing a crucial role in shaping this chapter. Social media has amplified every rumor, every snippet, and every commentary on the track and the lawsuit. Clips from live performances, meme interpretations of lyrics, and tweets dissecting every bar have made Not Like Us feel ever present. While this sustained attention supports Drake's claim of ongoing impact, it also magnifies public scrutiny. Every filing, every reported strategy, and every leak feeds into the narrative that this isn't just a legal case, it's a cultural moment. Kendrick's approach adds another layer of tension. So far, he has not publicly responded through legal channels, choosing to let the music and his artistry speak instead. This silence is deliberate, strategic, and culturally savvy. By not engaging in a public legal battle, Kendrick maintains the narrative in his favor, allowing fans to interpret the situation as him rising above the fray. Yet, his silence also keeps the stakes high. Any future move, whether a statement, track, or interview, could dramatically escalate the tension, forcing both parties into even more complex territory. From an industry perspective, executives, managers, and collaborators are watching closely. How this unfolds could set a precedent for artist accountability and legal liability in hip-hop. A victory for Drake could encourage more artists to pursue legal action when they feel wronged, potentially reshaping how labels, promoters, and platforms handle diss tracks. Conversely, if the lawsuit fails, it would reinforce the long-held principle that lyrics, even provocative ones, remain protected as artistic expression. The outcome could ripple across the music world, influencing not only rap but any creative field where expression intersects with public perception. Financial stakes also weigh heavily. Drake's brand isn't limited to music. His influence extends into fashion lines, endorsements, and global partnerships. The perceived damage from a controversial track can affect business opportunities, contracts, and collaborations. That's likely a driving force behind the lawsuit. Protecting a multi-million-dollar brand from a song whose reach and interpretation may have unintended consequences. Despite all the legal and strategic considerations, the court of public opinion remains the most unpredictable arena. Fans are split, media outlets are speculating, and social media amplifies every detail, true or not. In hip-hop, perception is almost as important as reality. And in this case, public sentiment could influence the trajectory of both the lawsuit and Drake's image. Every post, every headline, and every reaction contributes to the ongoing story. As Part 5 concludes, the situation embodies a larger truth. Hip-hop is no longer confined to records, albums, or live shows. Every lyric has the potential to intersect with business, law, and public scrutiny in unprecedented ways. Drake's alleged lawsuit over Not Like Us isn't just a personal dispute. It's a marker of how culture, law, and media collide in today's music industry. Ultimately, this chapter leaves the door wide open. Will the lawsuit succeed? Will it redefine artistic boundaries? Or will it be remembered as a cautionary tale about how words in the digital age carry consequences far beyond the studio? Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear. Drake versus Kendrick has entered uncharted territory, and the hip-hop world, and beyond, is watching every move. The next development won't just affect these two artists. It could shape the rules for a generation of musicians navigating the delicate balance between art and accountability. The message is clear. In modern hip-hop, even the sharpest bars can come with real-world consequences, and the only certainty is that this story is far from over. This situation with Drake and Not Like Us proves one thing. In today's music world, lyrics aren't just art. They can have real-world consequences. Whether you're a die-hard fan, a casual listener, or someone curious about the business side of hip-hop, this story is a must-watch. Drake's alleged 60-page lawsuit isn't just a legal battle. It's a cultural moment, a conversation about legacy, reputation, and how the internet amplifies every word. If you want full breakdowns, inside context, and updates you won't get anywhere else, make sure you subscribe now and turn on notifications. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Drake is justified in taking legal action, or should he have let the music speak? And if you value uncensored, insider-level coverage, hit the like button and share this video so others can follow the story too. Stay tuned, because the next update could change everything in this unprecedented hip-hop showdown.